Hey everyone, happy Sunday. We are live for our bi-weekly family check-in that we do every other Sunday. Usually in our private Facebook group. Today we're streaming on YouTube and on Twitter as well, just for fun. Because why not? Why not stream as many places as possible to connect with our family? So hi everyone. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Rae Hughart. I'm currently the Director of Training and Development for the Teach Better team. I am also a full-time 6th grade math teacher and just excited to be here for our Sunday get-together. For those of you who are just joining us for the first time, our bi-weekly family check-in happens every other Sunday. It's truly just like a glorified Q&A. Like we'll talk about whatever you want. We'll answer any questions you guys have. In theory, this was started like 2 or 3 at this point years ago when our group in our on Facebook was like really, really small. And it was just people saying, hey, is there a time that the team could go live and just answer questions? And at the time, we're like, sure, let's do it every other week. And it's just kind of continued not only as a space for you to answer questions, but also for us to start the week off with the same energy and like get excited about the week. So we really just want to be as accessible as possible to make sure that you feel good about what's coming Monday and all week long to support your students, whether you're in-person, hybrid, remote learning, or anything in between. So I want to say hello to all my friends that are here. It's so good to see you. Hey, Lindsay. Lindsay, I think I've quoted your blog that you just wrote, by the way, over at teachbetter.com. I quote it like, I feel like every day. I don't know when it came out. I must have published on Friday. I feel like I've quoted it like 2 or 3 times within the past 24 hours. So thanks for that really good blog. And I'm super glad it's a series because it really got me thinking, hence the Think Better title. I know, but it was really, really good. So Lindsay, thank you for that awesomeness. Hey, Kate, good to see you. Miss you. We feel like we haven't talked in like 2 weeks. It's too long. And hey, Nikki, good to see you. Nikki, you just shared something on Facebook. I was literally just liking right before we went live. So keep on posting, girl. Anyway, hi to everybody. This is free reign for anything that you guys need. Feel free to throw in the comments, questions, comments, concerns, frustrations, celebrations, throw them in here. I have spent all weekend, let's see, I totally relaxed on Saturday. Like hardcore relaxation, not working, kind of lame. And then today, for the first time, I don't know if this is a popularity contest. This isn't really probably going to be popular, but I worked at a coffee shop. I was very socially distanced, very safe. I understand all the things, but I went to Zion Coffee Shop. And those of you who know me, it's like my favorite place on the planet. And I know you're not going to believe this, but literally I was there for like 5 hours, and it was the best 5 hours I've had in like an entire month. Like I love, for whatever reason, that coffee shop is just magical. It's just like all the noise of the world like goes away. And I just sat and worked on Teach Better team stuff. And we have a lot of exciting things coming, a lot of things launching. And I just feel like I got all organized. You know that feeling when you like get your life organized and you're ready to take on the world? That's kind of what I did this morning. And then I was feeling so good. I went on 2 dog walks today. Not to brag, but just saying. It's good to have you all here. Hi, Katie. Good to see you. I see Natalie's in here. Natalie, I almost tagged you in a tweet or a message. Natalie, I need to know what platform you prefer. Can you put in the comments, Natalie, if you prefer like Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram? Anyway, I literally was going to tag you because I had day-old popcorn the other day. And now because of the webinar that we did this summer, every time I have day-old popcorn, I think about you. So anywho, good to see you. Hey, Brad, I also just listened to your podcast, by the way. You had a great podcast that you just did. Super, super good. I'm going to have the Teach Better team make sure they share that out as well. It was a great episode. Liv, good to see you here. Oh my gosh, this is like getting everybody together. I love this. Can't wait to get back and working at coffee shops again. It's my favorite places to work. Yeah, Lindsay, I won't lie. I have been, like, not that you guys are asking. Feel free to post actual questions that you want me to answer in here. But I have been like, social distancing, staying in my house, like pretty hardcore. I have some stuff going on in my own life that's just really causing me to be very, very safe and need to be very, very safe. Still with COVID going on and everything else. And so I really haven't even guys, I haven't even gone to a grocery store in like a month. Like I'm just very staying at home. I'm still kind of like where we all were in March is kind of my life right now. However, I knew the owners of this coffee shop and she was talking me through all the stuff they've been doing. And I'm like, okay, if there's anywhere that I'm willing to like go inside of, it would be this coffee shop. And so they are literally they have the best precautions. It was just so amazing to be somewhere other than my own office, be somewhere other than my own kitchen, and like get some work done. And so I feel like it was like very much like rejuvenating. You know what I mean? It was super fun. So yeah. Okay. Says I always feel so productive when I work at a coffee shop. Yes. Like I'm not necessarily encouraging you all to go do that. I know it's we all live in different areas. You definitely have to be safe. For me though, for those of you that know me, especially like literally Zion Coffee is my favorite place on the entire planet. Like if I could go anywhere, if you told me I had 5 hours and I could go anywhere for 5 hours, I really would love to travel internationally, but in 5 hours, I couldn't get there. So I would go to Zion Coffee. Like that is like my favorite place. You guys have to go look it up. It's literally just a coffee shop with like white walls is really what it is. But it's like something in their lattes. I don't know if you guys are latte drinkers, but like, it's just, there's magic. They won't even tell you what's in them because they're all magical. I'm just saying. So totally understand, Katie. Okay, Facebook. I'm not too, okay, Natalie, next time I'm just going to message you on Facebook because I was thinking of you and I wanted to message you. And Brad, absolutely. The podcast was awesome. I actually looked up the people that you were with and everything else. That podcast that you did was really good connections just for me to make with like other people outside my bubble. So thank you for doing it and sharing your insight, and all of that, because it was a really, really good episode. Nikki says, I used to have a coffee shop like that. I spent hours there getting through grad school. Yes, sadly closed down. All right. I'm glad the new place is equally amazing. But yes, I know. It's funny. So this coffee shop, since we're talking about coffee shops now, because apparently that's what we do on Sunday Biweekly Family Check-ins. By the way, feel free to ask any questions you'd like about education, me, or the Teach Better team. Fair game, apparently. But we're talking about coffee shops. We have so many coffee shops where I live. Like I live in Bloomington Normal. It's kind of like a college town esque. And I think we have like 4 Starbucks. We have 2 coffee hounds. Like I bet total we have like 10 coffee shops in this town, but nothing compares to Zion Coffee. Zion Coffee is, hold your breath, you might want to sit down for this one, 35 to 40 minutes from my house. I know that sounds far, but it is worth it because I spend hours there and it's right on the river. So you get like a little dose of some water. I don't know how you guys operate, but if I can get some water in my life, I'm happy. So like between the coffee and the river and everything else, perfect. And just a shout out to Jeff Gargas and the Teach Better team. The Teach Better team just gave me a gift card, so I didn't even have to pay for the coffee. So I'm just saying it was a good decision. I'm just saying. Look at all these coffee shop lovers. I'm just saying. Cool. So I want to hear tell me what was going on for all of you this week. For me, I had a lot of balancing. We're still fully remote in my classroom. My students started content this week, which was actually, I think, a really good time to start content. A lot of the students were like ready to start learning, ready to start feeling like they could get their hands dirty and some stuff. And so we started 2 themed internships. We had our Tobin's Pizza internship where students take on a real job at a local pizza company and they learn how to manage and clean and cook in our pizza company using decimals, which was really, really fun. And then the other internship they started was traveling around the world, obviously safely with COVID. That was kind of our running joke. And they study rational numbers. So they got to pick like where they traveled. And so we're still kind of in like the midst. We're in our first week of these units. So students were just getting into like our level 1 quiz. For those of you that use the grid method, we're like just through level 1 this week. And we just took our first quiz. So I've been doing a lot of like conferencing on small little exit slips and conferencing on quizzes, which has been amazing. And then actually shout out to my student teacher. I have a student teacher from Illinois Wesleyan University right now and also one from Illinois State University. But the Illinois State University one is in a different classroom for the time being. And my Wesleyan student teacher started conferencing and we actually got to go through so many amazing teachable moments and moments of reflection this week that I'm sure in the moment wasn't her favorite part of the week, but to be honest, it was fascinating for me because I love those moments, regardless of who the learner is, right? Whether they're an 11-year-old in middle school or a student teacher. she really got to go through this process of trying something Thursday and like not feeling good about it. And that's like, obviously we've all been there as educators, but I know that feeling so well. And I like felt for her. I was like, it's okay that it didn't go ideally. Like sometimes things don't go well. And I know that she was just really stressed and not discouraged. She's an all-star educator, but it's just never a good feeling when something flops. And it did. It had so many different like things that she needed to overcome. But then we tried the same thing Friday with a few adaptations, and we brainstormed. And I just feel like she finally saw the light open up where she was like, oh, I can do something. I can change things. And when I change things and I reflect, things get better. And I'm like, I really felt like on Friday afternoon, she was like, okay, I can do this because I know that if something ever flops, I can be reflective. I can make changes. I don't have to just change one thing. I can change 20 things, and then I can see a lot of success. So that was a really fun opportunity that I got to do this week, especially with her, which was wonderful. So Olivia says we had our first full week face-to-face with our students. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited for you, Olivia. I'm so glad that's going well. It sounds like my district will also be transitioning at some point to something outside of remote learning. So I might need to call you, Olivia, for a pep talk to see how that goes. I'm so glad that's going well. We had our third week in person, and it's been a wild ride. I totally believe it. I think that a lot of schools right now are getting, feedback from communities saying remote learning's hard, which it is. And so some schools are saying, okay, if remote learning's hard, maybe we should bring students back. I mean, there's a lot of moving pieces with that, and I'm not necessarily sharing my opinion, but it is interesting to see that, teachers we're resilient, right? Like we can handle all this. So no matter what stage you're in right now, whether you're face-to-face and that was the plan, or maybe you'll be newly face-to-face sometime soon. It looks like even Katie's going back. It has been back, face-to-face with kids since August 17th. I'm so glad that these experiences are going well. And even if it's been a wild ride, you're reflecting every day and you're thinking through what you can do, and you're just focusing on your students. That's awesome. I'm so glad. Nikki says, I just finished my first full week with students and wrapped up our intro grid. Nice, Nikki. I just did that too. All students are excited about diving into their first using the grid method. Nikki, it was funny. Like we did an intro grid as well, and we took our time with it. Like especially with remote learning, I was like, I don't want to get into content too fast. We're just going to really set in these procedures. And I felt the same way when we started our grid that was more content focused. After the intro grid, I had a lot of students being like, oh, I'm really excited to get into content. Like they had gotten their taste of learning by trying out the intro grid. And then they were like, okay, I get this. Now get me something new. Like give me a challenge. And so I'm really glad that hopefully your students have the same experience that mine did. Brad says kids have brought the joy back into our classroom. I'm so glad, Brad. That's so exciting. Kate says just finished week 5 with in-person and remote learners. It's been a learning curve, but it's getting better every day. Guys, this positivity is like through the roof. Who knew you could get all these educators together on a Sunday and have this much positivity about remote and in-person learning? Like that's the whole mindset, right? Like no matter what you're doing, you're able to say, hey, we're doing it, right? Like we're jumping feet first, and we're just going to be positive. And if things get tricky, then we're just going to manage them, and then we're going to move on and continue to do, what we do best, which is serve our students. So I'm so, so glad it's getting better every day. It's absolutely a learning curve. I just actually wrote a really tough parent email. I don't know if we want to get into parent emails, or maybe you guys don't get parent emails, but I got a tough parent email. And it's a tough parent email when you get it in the morning and you're like, I was up really late last night. Why didn't I get this parent email yet? And the email was sent by the parent at 11 o'clock at night. So in my mind already, I could choose to get upset, or I could start reflecting on the fact that this parent must have had a day. If on a Saturday night, their priority at 11 o'clock at night was to send me an email. That could mean that this parent was really upset. That could mean that this parent wasn't really upset, but just had an excessively long day. That could mean that this parent was thinking about this idea and didn't get around to emailing me until 11 o'clock at night. That could mean that this parent has, works third shift and was just getting up for their day. That could mean that this parent, 1,000 different situations. And so I don't know about you guys, but when I see a parent email that, has some negativity in it, it used to, and still does to a certain extent, but it really used to like emotionally drain me. And it was like the worst thing you could read in the morning, or especially at any point during the day. It was like, oh my gosh, somebody's disappointed in me. And that would just totally weigh on me. And I think it's because at the time, a parent email that was negative to me used to mean like, oh my gosh, I'm horrible at my job. Like, oh, I should be so embarrassed. And now I think my mindset isn't so much that, oh my gosh, I must be horrible. Even if I made a mistake, like, yes, but we all make mistakes. It's really in this mindset of understanding that I need to be in partnership with that parent. So it's not so much responding to the negativity, but really being solution driven, really thinking about the child's best interest and just finding some way to really convince this parent that I'm not only hopeful for a positive step moving forward, but also that I'm in partnership with them and making that happen. And so that was my like weird, tough email today. And I feel like that's been, when you say learning curve, like, yes, it's been a learning curve for me, but it has really, oh my God, do you hear my dog? He's so loud. Hey, Harvey, come here. It has really been a learning curve for our parents, is what I was going to say, but I got to take my dog's collar off. Are you hearing it the whole time? Sorry about this. Da, da, da. Usually I take this off before. Dog collar. Anyway, so long story short, as I was talking about tough parent emails, it really goes with that learning curve idea. I feel like our parents are having such a learning curve right now, especially those that are still in remote or hybrid. If you're in person, I actually don't know. You can tell me if it's really been that much of a learning curve now that students are in school. But that when I say learning, when I hear learning curve, I'm like, oh my God, the parents. So sorry, I'm missing all these comments now. See, I got on a story. This is what happens, friends. You know how this works for our Sunday biweekly family check-in. I'm so glad your students were so happy. Chris says students come twice a week. Other days are virtual. Crazy. Yeah, the hybrid model is absolutely something I see very common, especially with the school districts the Teach Better team are working in. Hybrid's been pretty common with most of our schools. So definitely crazy. Depending on how you're managing it, I'd love to hear more about what hurdles you're working on, maybe something that you're still working to overcome. That'd be great to talk about now. Yes, Libby says, parents have absolutely loved my video updates that go along with my blog post. That's so nice. Love that. Look good. Lots of appreciation. Absolutely. Happy for the idea. Actually, the whole idea of video emails came from my friend, Tiffany Ott, who I'm sure you guys have all connected with, but she said that to me, gosh, this must have been years and years ago. It's funny when you feel like it happened yesterday, right? But I remember vividly being on a live video with Tiff, and she was talking about video emails. And I kid you not, I tell this story quite often. It changed the way I communicate, bar none. It changed the way I communicate with families. And even some of you guys, when some of you email me and I send you back a video email. I love doing that stuff. So really glad that's working out for you, Olivia. That's super great. Brad says, we've been face-to-face for a week and kids have had so much joy back into the hallways of the classroom. Couldn't be prouder. I'm so glad. Katie says the grid method has been an amazing experience for the classroom. The positive of COVID is that I came across the Teach Better in the spring while searching for resources. Katie, I can't believe that's how you connected with us. I had no idea. Welcome to the family. I feel like you've been in the family way longer. That super surprises me, but I'm really glad that you made it, even if it was just the spring. Brad says, all of us in the Teach Better family recognize the gift, oh gosh, Rae and the Teach Better team gives us. Connect, celebrate. Absolutely. You are so sweet. No, we love the work that we do. It's totally true. We've been face-to-face since August 17th as well. Good. Oh, second grade. How fun is that? Hey, Carly, good to see you. I'm so glad that you're popping in. We've talked so far, Carly. Let me get you updated. Coffee shops and parent emails. And I took my dog's collar off. That's about where we're at, 19 minutes in. So let us know if you have any other questions. Oh, you guys are so awesome. Danielle says, hey, everyone. Love the way of changing mindset. Good. Relate to parents. I had an issue. I have had issues, yes, with feeling attacked and not good enough. Thanks, Rae, for the upbeat turnaround. Danielle, it's interesting. I don't know. This is going to be really morbid, Danielle. Take this with a grain of salt. I feel like parents broke me. I don't know. I need to find a better way to say this because I said this to my student teacher the other day and I was like, that's not good phrasing. But I would get so emotional when parents emailed me upset, even if it wasn't upset, if they just questioned something, I would just internalize it. And it was so personal because I truly felt like the work I did with their child was so important that then if they were discouraged or didn't like what I was doing, that meant that every parent felt that way and every student wasn't being served in the way they needed. And it just terrified me. Like, people being disappointed in me as a whole really is something I struggle with. And so having parents have that was even worse. And I feel like I've had so many parent interactions that have unfortunately gone poorly, right? Like, out of our control, so many different factors, just the ones that blow up in your face and you're just like, oh my God, what happened? I don't know like how this got into such a big deal. That I woke up one morning and I was like, I need to find a better way. Like, it's essential that I find a better way to process parent emails, because if this is what's going to be like, I can't be in education. Like, if one email can cause me to spiral and ruin my whole day, whole week, and everything in between, then I can't be an educator, because parent emails should be celebrated. And I say that because I truly believe that parent emails should be a celebration, because that means that a parent who is somehow connected to you took a minute or two or an hour, depending on what the email looks like, out of their day to contact you, their child's teacher. They're trusting us with their most prized possession, and they chose to reach out to you. Do you know how hard it is sometimes to get a parent to reach out to you? This parent is choosing to reach out to you. That is a celebration. No matter what the emotional effects are, no matter what the information is, that parent is reaching out, looking for answers because you're a partner and you can find a solution to help them. That is a gift. Now, if they phrase it poorly, or if they maybe not say some nice things, that's not on you. And so my biggest element, I know this is so silly, but here's my recommendation. Danielle, I don't know if you need this, but somebody might. Read the email and then mark it unread and walk away from it for at least an hour. And I say that because you really need that time to like think it through. Maybe you call a friend to talk it out. Like, you really need that time to step away from it. Then I like to actually, to be completely honest, sometimes I don't even reread the email. Then I like to open it back up and I like to respond. And I like to respond by identifying the key points that they need to hear from me and really emphasizing that I'm a partner in this process. So I am focusing so much more, not on like nitpicking little sentences they said, not on nitpicking little words or telling them they're wrong. I like to start by saying, hello, such and such, usually using Mr. and Mrs. with the parent's last name. Then it's, the easiest line to start with is, I hear your frustration and I really want to find a solution to help your child be successful in the highest regards in my classroom. And then you start by the things that you are going to do to help them. And then you end it saying, I really hope to hear from you. I believe in, your child is doing incredible in class. I know that we're going to get through this together. I am so appreciative that you chose to reach out to me, because that shows me how much you care about your child. Sincerely, Miss Hughart. And yes, it's not perfect. Yes, there are things in between. In the one that I wrote this morning, I had an entire paragraph updating the parent on how the child was doing, which is fabulous, by the way. The child that they had been emailing about, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can tell you 2 or 3 celebrations from this week. Maybe they didn't tell you those celebrations. You should go congratulate your child because they did this and this and this. And I talked about conferencing. But the whole point is, like, you need to be, as the professional, you need to be the one that can control the narrative. Shift the conversation to being positive. Shift the conversation to saying, I hear you. Shift the conversation to say that you understand their frustration. And then make sure that you are solution focused. Always solution focused. That whatever they're feeling, you want to understand, you want to validate, and then you want to help them feel better. And so I know this sounds lame sometimes. I'm sure a lot of you have responded to parent emails better than me, but holy cow, was this something I have so struggled with. I actually just wrote an Instagram post that will be going out later this week about this topic. So, I get it. Feeling attacked and like you're not good enough, like you are good enough. And 99% of the time, them attacking you has something to do with something else. And so whether it be a parent email or someone mean online or somebody responding to your tweet in a negative way, most people that carry negativity, it has nothing to do with you. So how can you respond by acknowledging in your mind has nothing to do with you and maybe just trying to help somebody else, right? Like that's the point. So I'm done with my soapbox. Oh my gosh, I'm missing all these comments. Lindsay said it's been challenging for parents for sure in the hybrid as well. The challenges, yes, absolutely. It's so different. So it's doable. Challenges, absolutely. Not impossible. It takes a little more creativity for sure. Yeah, but we're creative. It's fine. Chris says getting kids to stay focused with only seeing them in person twice a week is tough. I totally understand that. Being a teacher and a parent of 3 is also tough. Geez, Chris, I can only imagine. I'm confident that's tough. But I know my why keeps me going. That's fabulous. My team at school and at home has been amazing. Chris, I'm so excited for you. I'm confident that team is going to keep supporting you. And obviously we're here as well. So it's awesome. Oh my gosh, Jessica, how are you? You've missed this group so much. I'm glad you're back. Jessica, years ago, we used to talk all the time. And every time now you comment, I'm always like, hey, Jessica, I miss you. Hope all is well. So hope all is well. Eager to connect sometime. Jessica Hoover is saying we're here in person with learners joining from home, either by choice or due to sickness. Any tips on keeping students online engaged and connected while teaching an in-person class at the same time? You know, Jessica, I think anytime we're talking about managing remote students and in-person students, we need to be thinking about how our instruction is different or isn't different with both groups. And in my personal opinion, I would really encourage you that it's going to be easier to engage both groups if both groups are having similar supports and processes that they're following. So for example, here's why I say this. Jessica is on the phone with the teacher today who is telling me that they are in the similar situation where they're working with students in classroom and they're working with students online. And she's essentially running 2 separate classrooms where she's like planning things for the in-person students and planning things for the remote students. And there's not a lot of overlap or similarities. So even when we were talking about if a student moved from one to the other, then they're like almost moving to a whole different class. That's far too much work, right? Like not only for you, but for the student and everyone in between. So some similar things that I would consider is having those processes that never change, because a routine, while different than engagement of a student, maybe I should preface, I feel like the word engagement can mean multiple things to different people. I think a routine is a great way to keep your students engaged, in some sense of that word, because your students know what's expected. They're not spending time questioning. They're not feeling lost right off the bat. You have given them a sense of purpose and they know what to do. And so setting up that routine a strong routine can be an element of keeping your student engaged, because they are walking in not intimidated by the work, but feeling empowered because they know what they're doing and they can take ownership over their learning. The other elements of engagement that I really love, that I always push teachers through, is starting with the why of the content before anything else. So if you're looking for like a quick activity to engage students, there are so many resources out there for amazing educators. By the way, now my other dog is shaking his collar. Do you hear this? I didn't take both dog collars off. This is the problem. Hey, Alfie, come here. Maybe he'll come and I'll be able to take his collar off. Sorry about that. But the point is like when we're talking about engaging students, I really would encourage you to start with routines. And then I would encourage you to really identify how you're designing your content. If you can incorporate something like a theme internship to talk about a student's why, or talk about the content's purpose before the content's like step to mastering, that could be a really great engagement focus. Also, anything that gets a student off their computer can be really engaging, like giving them a challenge of some sort would be really great. So I hope some of that gives you a few food for thought items. If you want me to expound a little bit more on what routines I think you should have in place, I'd be more than happy. So let me know. So I'm going to keep going through these comments and we'll keep going. Chris says, any tips or advice in getting students motivated to join a Google Meets when they are not face-to-face? Chris, great question. I think anytime, this kind of goes back actually to the question I just answered with Jessica. Anytime you're asking a student to do something, how do I phrase this? Like if I'm asking a student to do something, I can't be asking them to do it because it's required, or it's because I want them to, or because I'm asking nicely. There has to be an enticement factor for them. And so there's some, Lindsay Titus always talks about language. And I love that. I know so many people who remind me of that frequently, that the language we use is really important. And I find myself falling into this specific sentence all the time, where I'm talking with the student, I'm doing it quickly because I have like other things I'm managing. And I look at the students, I'm like, can you please do that for me? Wrong phrasing. They shouldn't be doing anything for me. I am not the reason they're doing something. I am assisting them. I'm facilitating them being successful by doing something for themselves. And then I am just like a part of the equation helping them do it. So when we talk about like tips or advice for getting students motivated to get on a Google Meet, my students' motivation right now to join a Google Meet, which by the way, Chris, I'm using Google Meet too, so I'm with you, is that they have to have a teacher conference on a Google Meet. Well, why would that be important to them? Well, because in our classroom, our routine is that we're like following our treasure map through the grid, and they can only go so far without having that Google Meet and conferencing with me. So they actually like cannot move forward with all the fun activities that we're doing unless they hop on that Google Meet. So they're not hopping on that Google Meet because I say so and I want to see them. They're hopping on that Google Meet because they want to go do something they are not able to do unless they do it. And then I make sure that when they're there, I respect their time and I only keep them for when I need them for. So they know if I pop onto this Google Meet, Miss Hughhart's going to keep me for the short amount of time that she needs me. I'm going to be able to feel confident with what I'm doing. I'm going to be celebrated for what I'm doing. Miss Hughhart's going to tell me how fabulous I am. I'm going to get to, celebrate with my peers about something that I'm doing super well. And then when I get off that Google Meet, I get to go do what I wanted to do, which was move on in such and such way. So when I'm talking about motivation, I think a lot of us, me, myself included, think of motivation like, oh, cool. Like, what are the ways that I can motivate a student? Well, I can get a really interactive activity, or I can, use really pretty font and neon colors, or I can like do all these things. That's a way to motivate. That's actually true. Like some of those things really do motivate students. But when we're talking about motivating students, I want it not to be something that I'm doing. I want to teach them how to motivate themselves. And so it really has to come from like within to do that. So I'm not sure, Chris, if that kind of helped you, didn't help you, whatever. Let me know if you still have questions on that. But finding those ways to encourage a student to get on a Google Meets is really going to come down to like them seeing what they get out of it, which I think is how all of us are, right? I mean, if I was going to go to a staff meeting, I could go to the staff meeting because my principal said I had to and I want to keep my job. Or I could go to a staff meeting because there's a really interesting topic that they're discussing and a really cool speaker that's joining them. And I really want to see the speaker speak because that speaker wrote a book that I also have that I really enjoyed. And I follow them on social media and I really want to see what that was like. So like it could be for them or it could be for me. And so I think that's an important conversation to have in all learning aspects is if you are phrasing things to children as they're doing you a favor, they might do you the favor because they love you, right? A lot of us students, I was actually just talking to a student and a parent last week who was like, we love our teachers. Like, how sweet is that? And I know, like my dogs, right? They'll do things because they love me. But if I show them they get something out of it, it's a very different buy-in. So something to consider. Oh my gosh, there's so many comments. I'm so far behind. I'm so glad Jamie's here though. Hey, Jamie. Jamie says, great advice. Parents are our partners. Often parents mean well and educators shouldn't take it personally. Since parents are so passionate about their children, it often comes across as not nice or yeah, absolutely. Life is usually, yes, I completely agree. Life is the culprit for sure. Jessica saying I teach 3 in person and 1 virtual day. Very interesting. Very cool. Brad says I struggled so much with parent emails, feeling attacked and dismissed. Rae's perspective is spot on. Danielle, I also found a reminder from Rob Bell, really helpful. Ooh, good. And he put the link in there. So make sure to go check that out. Jessica, can't imagine at the same time. Yes, it is a challenge, but again, we are resilient people. We can do this. Jessica said that's pretty much what I'm doing. Both groups are doing the grid and my mini lessons are done together. Maybe engagement isn't quite the right word. Okay, fine. Maybe connected, maybe. My grid work time is where I'm struggling to balance the kids in class, not just ignoring the remote learners. Ooh, super interesting, Jessica. So Jessica, I'm going to tell you my suggestions. I've seen this done in like districts we're working with the Teach Better team, but I have not done this yet, but I think I will be in a few weeks. So let's brainstorm this together. So in short, if you're just popping in right now, Jessica's brainstorming. She has students that are in person and students that are remote. And she's saying, okay, we're doing our grid. So students are walking through their learning pathway just fine. But when I'm not doing my mini lesson and when it's grid work time, how do I make sure I get to everybody? So a few key things, Jessica. Here's what I've seen and what I think would work in my classroom. So I would suggest that you have a Google Meets open or whatever streaming service, Zoom, WebEx, whatever, open, where your virtual learners, your remote learning students can identify their needs on a virtual tracking page and then pop into a meeting. Then as they sit in the queue, whether it be they're just waiting for your attention or maybe it's like Zoom where there actually is a waiting room, they can signify to you what they need already by the tracking page. So as a teacher, you're looking at the tracking page and you can see what students need. Now, my suggestion, if possible, would be that your remote learning students and your in-person students are on the same tracking page, because otherwise you're going to have to flip back and forth to see what students need. So you should have students in your classroom and students remotely on the same tracking page. So as you're looking through that tracking page, seeing all your learners' needs and actually even maybe grouping students by needs and pulling groups using that, you should be able to say, all right, Timmy needs a conference. Oh, Timmy's in a remote setting. I'm going to go to my computer. He's going to be waiting there and we can conference. Or I see that Susie and Jessica both need a conference. Susie's remote, Jessica's not. Let's pull a small group and whether it be remote or in person, we can talk around the same idea because they need a conference on a similar topic. So I don't know, like logistically, if those things would work, I'd love to hear your thoughts on that, Jessica. But I think students staying connected is probably the hardest thing with what you're struggling with right now. So if you can create intentional moments of connection, whether that be a conference or students sharing their voice consistently through the grid or things like that, I think that you really need to blend these classrooms together if you haven't done so already. And blending the tracking page would be a good first start. Maybe at the end of their names on the tracking page, however you label your students, maybe they have like a V if they're virtual and a I if they're in person. I don't know. But like that way, if you really needed a quick glance, you could be like, oh, Jessica needs a conference and the V by her name shows me that Jessica's virtual. I don't know. That might be helpful. So excited to see what you're thinking. So very hard to balance though. I completely agree. John says, well said, intrinsic motivation. Yes. And it has to be taught, right, John? I mean, like we do our best to have students intrinsically motivated, but it has to be taught. And it's not just through a mini lesson. It's not just through crossing our fingers, but like really shifting our language so that we can see this happen. Lindsay says, if you're challenged to find what motivates a certain student, think about movement. Ooh, I love that. Where do they move to? What gets them moving? Then think about how you can incorporate that into your lessons and activities. Boom. Love that idea. This helps create that bridge that Rae was talking about and trying absolutely the why and the purpose for them. Oh my gosh, I love that, Lindsay. So not only creating an avenue so students know why they're working because the content's relevant to them, but also connecting to like what gets them excited, what gets them engaged, what gets them up and moving. I love this. That was a great suggestion, Lindsay. Super good. Chelsea's here. Hey, Chelsea. She says, hey, Rae, I know you started your themed internships recently. I did. Can you share how you will be doing your Tobin's Pizza pop-up restaurant and other? Oh, goodness. All right. I will tell you, Chelsea, I don't know is my answer. For those of you who don't already know this, I actually have my students take on themed internships using the Teach Further model, which has courses in the Academy if you want to go check those out over at teachbetteracademy.com. But it allows students to really be like immersed in their learning, which I love. And one of my like fun activities that I get to do, one of them that Chelsea's referring to, is that we actually usually host a pop-up restaurant where students truly facilitate a restaurant the entire day in our classroom. So we set up tables. We should have 9 tables. We have hundreds of guests come in every single day, all day long. And we have servers and everything else. It's super duper fun. Lots of good food. But I don't know how I'm doing it, to be honest, Chelsea. I'd love to hear your ideas. It's one of the few things that I haven't quite finalized. This unit is supposed to end not this Friday, but the following Friday, I think, or the following Thursday. So I really do need to figure it out if I'm going to do any of that preparation. At this time, because we're fully remote and we're not able to meet with students, I really have no idea. So I'd love some ideas. I was also thinking that I have other units that could be conducive for like a restaurant theme. Like, as you guys know, I do like a baker's activity for fractions and a few other fun things. So a lot of those activities that I would normally do may not happen in a remote setting, but if we go back to school safely, my hope is that I can still incorporate some of those things when we're back in person. So I don't really have a good answer for you, Chelsea, but I love that you asked, and I really hope to have a solution soon. So let me know if you have any ideas that you want to share for sure, because those are some incredible and some like such fun moments. Like, they're so fun. All right, guys, we've been live for 41 minutes. If you have any final questions or anything you want to talk through, this is our last call for questions. I hope you all are having a wonderful Sunday evening. I think the Emmys are on right now, by the way. So I don't know how that's working. I don't usually watch the Emmys, but I saw some promotion for it. So like, hey, that could be a thing that you spend the rest of your Sunday doing. But I just want to make sure that you felt like you could start your Sunday off with just like the right energy and you feel confident with what you're doing. I know this is a very challenging time and we are all just doing our darn best to figure it out. And while, you know, the Teach Better team continues to write blogs and, you know, hunt down podcasts and for our podcast network and do all these like moving parts, we like just want you to know that above all the content, above everything, like, we care about you. We want you to be successful. And if there's anything we can do to help you feel better and help you be more successful and feel more confident, that's why we're here. So these Sunday bi-weekly family check-ins is really just an opportunity for us to come live and remind you that you are enough. You're doing incredible things. We appreciate you. And no matter how tough the week is, whether it's like, you know, easy breezy or maybe, you know, you feel like you just keep running into hurdles, we just want you to know that we appreciate you and, you know, everything will get better. And we really are here as a sounding board. So whether you pop in on a Sunday biweekly family check-in just to have somebody celebrate a big accomplishment with you, like the fact that all my students conferenced on their first quiz, like, yay, let's celebrate with you. Or you're somebody who just needs, you know, a little bit of encouragement because every hurdle that you interacted with today just seemed to knock you down. Like, I totally understand. We have been put to the test. We've been put to the test this year in 2020. And while, you know, a lot of us are eager for 2021, I can tell you that even before then, we're going to have a successful fall. You have incredible students in your classroom that are so excited to learn. And even if you're not hearing the encouragement from your families the way you want, like, you're doing great things, and we are just here to help, encourage you, and tell you how great you are. So thank you for all that you do. I'm loving these comments. Jessica says, "You're making me feel better." Oh, yay. Okay. Tracking page is shared. Good. We're using Zoom, and I tried to check. Okay, perfect. Answer's good. I literally have one student working remotely typically. So it's just awkward if she's just there without questions and I'm checking. Oh, I totally get it. I tell her she can jump off if she's good, but she usually stays on until the end of class. Okay, cool. So Jessica, if I'm just affirming the things you're doing, then maybe that's it. I'll keep brainstorming ideas for you and I'll message you as well as they come up. But I also think, you know, it's interesting. Let's talk about this for a second. So you have a student working remotely who has the choice not having to be on camera, but is choosing to be on camera. And it feels awkward to you because you're like, oh, I don't know what to do with them. But like, that student is home, not getting to be with their friends. And so if they just want to work on camera, like, that's okay. And I like that you're giving her the option. I think that's what I would do too. I'd be like, hey, if you are good, you can like pop in and out. If they, you know, need something, come back. Otherwise you're good. But sometimes, you know, they just might want somebody else around. I know I said this early on in this video, but like, I have been staying like very, very isolated from others for a number of different reasons right now. And I don't know what, I'm going to say this in like a weird way. So like, sorry, but I don't know what I'd do if I didn't have my virtual friends. Like, I know that sounds so lame. Oh my God, judge me. But like, a lot of my friends, my colleagues, like all of you listening here, they're on Twitter, they're on Facebook because of the Teach Better team, because the Teach Better team is worldwide. And so when I jump into a mastermind, and there's like 10 administrators there, they're from all over the world. Or I jump, live on Facebook with all of you, we're all over the world. And so a lot of my interactions already before COVID were through a computer, because I've built and continue to hopefully build a relationship with all of you. And so I have the opportunity like this to come live and speak with you, or hop into a mastermind and talk with people, or, go live on Twitter with Caitlin and Megan from the Teach Better team and talk shop. Like, this is kind of a norm, but for real, this is also my human interaction that I'm getting outside of small things here and there. So that student probably needs that same outlet where it's like, yeah, it's kind of awkward for you because you have a classroom of students you're trying to manage, and you're like, don't, leave the video, go relax. But the reality is like, when she turns off that camera, she literally might be alone in an empty house with nothing to do. And TV only goes so far, people, right? Like, we all learned, like, we can binge Netflix, but like, that only keeps you entertained for about a month until you like miss all the other things. So I think it's kind of beautiful, Jessica, as you're reflecting, like, I want to give my student options. She might be staying on there because she, likes interacting with you, because you're the positive in her day. You're kind of like creating this norm for her. And so it is so challenging, but kind of special. I hope you take that as a compliment as you keep reflecting, like, what can I do better? What can I do better? It sounds like it's a lovely way that a student is really kind of affirming, maybe without even telling you, how much she appreciates you in your classroom, because that's her, few moments of normalcy, whether it be virtual or not. So congrats, Jessica. I love that you have students that enjoy you in your classroom so much that they want to spend time on camera, even if it's just working, just being a part of the fun. I think that's like such a wonderful little blessing right there. Nikki says, oh, good. I only have one remote student as well. I know it's a struggle too. It is absolutely a struggle. Yeah, Olivia, I love our virtual family. The Teach Better family is just the best. It's so the best. I'm telling you, the Teach Better conference only happened once, and I felt like we got to meet so many friends. And even now, like, our family's grown twofold. I can't wait to all see you again in person. People do not believe me that our Teach Better family, we never see each other in person. The last time I saw, let me think, Chad and Jeff and I got together the weekend the world shut down. It was already planned. We didn't really know the world was shutting down, even though we kind of knew the world was shutting down. And we got together the weekend of like March 14th, like March 16th, that weekend. And we were actually supposed to bring the entire Teach Better team at the time together. It was like all 16 of us. And we ended up canceling everybody coming in because we kind of got an inkling the world was going closed. But Chad and Jeff were driving, and so they just decided to come, and I still went because it was close to my house. And so last time I saw Chad and Jeff was March. But before then, I don't know. And then even like Hans and Jennifer Apple, like, I haven't seen them since the Teach Better conference. Caitlin and Megan and Andrea, I couldn't even tell you the last time I saw them. Like, our Teach Better team and our family and our network, and including ambassadors and podcast network and speakers network, like all those people, they're all virtual. Like, none of us like live close together or get to hang out ever. Like, this is us hanging out. It's so funny. So I love our virtual family. They make me so happy too. Jessica says, yes, that's a hard part for me. I want her to feel like she's a part of the class, even though she's not in class. And so, yeah, letting her stay on the video makes sense, Jessica. And have, like doing those public celebrations that you would normally do for a student in class, doing them when she's virtually too. And sometimes it'll be good, Jessica, think about like how you can partner in person and remote learners together. That would be good if I could like lean over and be like, hey, Livia, go partner with Nikki. Nikki's on the, computer, and they could work together. But yeah, it sounds like you're doing amazing things, Jessica. I just need to tell you how great you are. You're doing awesome. So fun. All right, guys, thank you for joining our biweekly family check-in. It was so fun to just always be together. We do this every other Sunday here in our private Facebook group, which you can join at teachbettergroup.com. Today, we also got to stream on Twitter and YouTube as well, and actually over on our Facebook page, which is nice too. Thank you to all of you who have liked our Facebook page. We appreciate that. But I just really appreciate all that you do. I hope you have an amazing week, an incredible week. I hope you have an incredible week. And let us know if you need anything. We have a lot of people in our family that can support you, like a ton. So if you are feeling like you still need a brainstorm, even after this quick hour live on Facebook, reach out. Let's get you connected to somebody or me or somebody that like can help you continue to brainstorm. So thank you for all that you do. And I hope you all just continue to remember how amazing you are. So we'll see you later. Bye, guys.